Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Paul, and this try to look things I'm curious about and things I've looked into, I like to share. So in today's video, this is going to be another one where we are connecting a lot of different things, and I'm going to be theorizing here. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's okay, because I'm going to be connecting a lot of different things that I've looked into. And like I said, just theorizing here because I don't have anything necessarily to back it up, only pondering the possibilities of what the future holds for us. So this one has to do with human beings glowing, okay? And the idea or the thought that will we one day glow / can we glow, okay? And I'll tell you before you think all of this to be absurdity, I'll tell you where I'm grounding this in, right? So if you've seen any of my past videos, you would know that I'm into breathing. I'm into looking into different ways of breathing, right? And so one of the breathing methods is the Wim Hof method, where you pretty much hyperventilate for 30 breaths. You know, deep breath in, deep breath out, and then you breathe out 30 times and you hold your breath. Anyways, you get a lot of energy from it, right? You don't even have to breathe afterwards. You get a lot of energy from it. You feel very focused, and there's just like a lot of oxygen in your system. And so the more that I began to think about these different breathing methods and what they almost do to the brain and the energy within your body, you definitely feel different, right? And so as I was thinking about this, I also recently have listened to a guy talk about, hey, every person has their own energy field, okay? You know, if you look close enough, you can see it. And I was like, well, I don't know if I've necessarily seen an energy field around anyone, but, you know, hey, you know, sure, I'll listen to you. But it's very often that we would say, you know, like, let's say that we see someone on stage, right? We're like, oh, wow, their energy. Did you see them perform the way they did? It was almost just like, it was just incredible, right? Or you see someone who's really charismatic. We always talk about their energy and there being a certain presence about these people. There being a certain aura about these people, right? And so then I started to begin to think about, okay, we do talk about this with certain people who emit a lot of energy and they are a certain way. We just say they're very energetic and they have a certain presence that we feel, right? Not a lot of us can see necessarily the field around them, but we do sense something different. And that person obviously is displaying a certain amount of energy within them. And so as I was kind of pairing this idea of breath and energy, and then listening to this guy talk about these energy fields, and even though it wasn't something that I've personally experienced, I connected that with our experiences of seeing people who, you know, emit a lot of energy per se. So then I started to think about, I was like, well, I have heard it before. I don't have the sources, but I have heard it before that it was said that human beings way long ago when we were first created used to glow. And again, I don't know where they got that from, but I have heard that before. And over time, we obviously, none of us are glowing now. But then I began to think, I was like, okay, well, there is a Bible story that talks about when Moses met on the mountain with God, and then, you know, his face came back glowing, and he had to put a veil over it. There was that transfiguration moment with Jesus' disciples, you know, and they saw him in glory. There's moments all throughout the Bible where angels come and, you know, they're bright and glorious and all this stuff. And so then I began to think, I was like, okay, well, what is this glowing really? And, you know, so I looked into what even causes light, right? And so there's a lot of energy buildup, and then it releases photons, which is essentially light as I understand it. And so I was like, okay, well, if light is essentially just a byproduct of a lot of energy, would it be possible, again, and this seems reasonable, would it be possible that we can glow? And so then I began to look up, well, apparently it's true that we already do glow. We just don't see it necessarily enough in each other. But scientists say that we do glow to some extent. And so I was like, okay, well, what if all this is possible? What if through the course of time, we have gotten less and less from our original perfect created state. And so, you know, our energy has gone down. Therefore, we don't emit the same way that we used to. We don't glow the same way that we used to. But I was like, what if this is what that shininess, this aura around these spiritual beings, is it just because they have a different energy level, a different energy plane almost? Is this a reason why they can go, you know, so fast from one place to another because they're operating on a different energy field, a different energy plane. And again, if all of what I'm saying right now seems woo, well, that's probably just because you haven't looked into the same stuff that I have. But we've all heard these stories, right? Even if you're not connecting the same dots that I am right now with breathing, which then leads to more oxygen, which then leads to more energy, which then leads to light emission. That's kind of like the trend, the process that I went through. You can at least know the stories that I'm talking about with at least angels and God in general, with this being very glorious, very light filled, energy, angels disappearing, appearing, Jesus going through, doors after he's been resurrected, or even before when he got transfigured on the mount, or Moses in the Old Testament, all these things we do see and hear about these different. Even with Stephen, I think it was Stephen in Acts, when his face shone like an angel, right? Some people say that's just like metaphorical language, but what if that's actually saying a literal reality? That what if his face literally did shine? I mean, we saw that Moses literally did shine. And so I'm just wondering about this. I'm like, okay, what if this idea of being bright and this idea of exuding energy and glowing and emitting that is just because of a higher frequency of energy? And what if this has to do, what if we can tap into some of these things in a natural way, unless you have a direct encounter with a spiritual being? What if we can tap into maybe some of those more natural states that we once had, but now we don't have in our natural living, but we can tap into them through breathing? That's what I'm wondering right now. That's what I'm wondering, because to me, it seems completely possible that we would, and plausible that we would be beings that naturally glow if we were in more of a perfected state, that we would be beings that emit this light, that emit this energy, because our frequency is on a different level than it is now. So if all that sounded woo, I completely get it. Maybe it is woo, but also if you followed that train of thought, and that makes sense. This breathing leads to more oxygen, which leads to more energy, and then this buildup of energy leads to this release of the photons, which is really light. And again, think about our common language that we use whenever we do see someone who's very charismatic, or we see a performer on stage and they were just having the performance of their lifetime. They were exuding so much energy. We would say that there's a certain presence about that person, that there was a certain aura, a certain energy, right, about that person. I'm pondering right now and thinking about what are all these possibilities. So if that made any sense at all, let me know down in the comment section below. If that made no sense at all and you say, Paul, you're out of your mind, let me know down in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you as well. With that being said, I will see you guys in the next one.